I want to take a look right now at a topic that I've been thinking a lot about lately, and that is Antarctica. So basically, my World Serpent readings have they keep repeatedly mentioning that that thing is under the ice. So that made me think of Antarctica, but this isn't necessarily about the World Serpent. I'm just trying to find out what the hell is going on in Antarctica. So let's just see what we get. Double dang. Okay. I'm going to look on either side of this Ten of Swords. Wow. Well, this is big stuff. Big stuff for sure. Okay. So, what we get here, um, our root card is the Tower, and the Tower shows something essentially being destroyed, right? And then the main card is the reversed Ten of Swords. So this is the kind of shit that made me think that the giant serpent was down there, because it shows the thing being in a box, and it shows something that is essentially, we'll say, uncomfortable at the least. Um, but the Ten of Swords, if we just take all of that other stuff out, so the Ten of Swords is something that we tried to avoid dealing with, and eventually it just caught up. And when this is reversed, I guess if this were a reading for a person, what I would say is that it's probably really old energy. So this is like something that caught up to us theoretically a long time ago. Now, um, the Tower is showing, I mean, one of the things that I've been researching Antarctica lately, and one of the things that they talk about is this huge glacier, and they're really worried about this glacier like coming off, um, and like splashing down into the ocean and melting or whatever. So the Tower could show something like that, like a breakage of the glaciers. But then if we look at the rest of the card, we see that fucking laser beam thing on the top. So that could also show it being done on purpose. At any rate, we have something crumbling. Um, Now, if we go back, dang, it's hard not to go back to the serpent thing, because I could read it that way. The Tower card is a prison, and here the prison gets blown up. So the thing that was in the prison would be freed. And maybe this is not different than the glacier coming off of the rest of Antarctica, because the readings have suggested that it's trapped in the ice. So maybe when that glacier comes off, then the prison is no longer whole, and that thing gets out. All right. So this is kind of a past, present, future sort of deal right here. And in past energy is the Justice card. Now, that sort of reinforces this sort of prison thing, because the Justice card might be, some sort of sentence, some sort of like execution of justice. It's like, you've been bad, so we're sending you to Antarctica. Um, and even if we're not talking about the serpent, this is pretty consistent with that sort of thing. If we're talking about something, it's like something was imprisoned there, and that prison is falling apart. It was some sort of carrying out of justice. And then here we have this thing that it would have to be pissed, you would think, after being in that Ten of Swords sort of position for so long. Now, as this moves forward, it moves forward into the freaking Wheel of Fortune. And that is destiny and karma. That is the movement of the galactic wheel. So it would show some sort of large event that we wouldn't necessarily have any control over. What I'm going to do now is just pull a card to represent what it is that was trapped, right? What was in this prison that is no longer in there. And we get a Four of Swords. Now, the Four of Swords, it shows something that's buried. Um, so there was something buried there. What else do we get out of this? I'm seeing the roses. And it's possible that the thing that's coming out is a plant. Like maybe there was some plant that grew there a long time ago, and has been fucking encased in ice. And now that the ice is shifting or melting or cracking or whatever, then this fucking plant has a way to come out. Now, let's just see. I'm going to pull one more card on this because we've definitely got something that's buried, but are we talking about a plant? Like, what other descriptor do we have? And we get a reverse page of Pentacles. Weird. Now, this is more like, it would be a being, right? A being of some kind. But a reverse page, I would almost take that as a person. Like a person that was fucking frozen in the ice as a prison. But now that I see this, I'm just not thinking it's a plant anymore. All right. Now, I'm going to collect these. So we have this something that was sort of trapped. It looks like that may have been a sentence, like some sort of execution of justice. And it's probably pissed. And the Wheel of Fortune is showing that the release or whatever is happening is kind of inevitable. There's not necessarily anything we can do about it. So what I want to see, let's just see if the human intervention is causing this, or, what role is human intervention playing? And we get a Queen of Wands. Now that's really interesting because the Queen of Wands is about recognition. So here it would show that the human intervention is sort of giving it attention. And this wouldn't necessarily say helping it or hurting it, but it's just sort of focus and attention. Let's put one more down there to see what we got. And then we get the Strength card. And it's the person wrestling the fish monster. Huh. Well, all right. Now looking at these two together, I think whatever it is that is encased in that ice, this looks like the human intervention is giving it attention, for one, which might in itself revitalize it somehow. But with the Strength card, I don't think that whatever representatives of governments and different scientists that are there, I don't think they're trying to make it come back. If anything, they would be sort of trying to keep it down, I think. All right. Now, what I want to see is, because this might be kind of something that wouldn't necessarily affect the rest of us. Whatever it is that comes out of the ice, how big of an impact is that going to have on the people? And we get the Star. So this is making me think of the big ass glacier, because the Star is making me think of a flood, right? As far as the magnitude of impact, it would have a big impact because this is a major arcana card. Now, the water in the Star is like a purifying water. Um, this is a blessing, a cleansing. Now, it could be that a great flood over the earth would cleanse it. And, maybe long term that would be a blessing, but not if you live near the coast, right? But I am thinking that this is essentially talking about a flood and a fucking something that would affect people all over the place. Now, I just want to put a timeline on whatever this is. When does this happen? When does the blessing or the star, when does this happen? And we get a Queen of Cups. Now, because it's a court card, this is absolutely not a fucking timeline. Not a timeline whatsoever. So here we have human intervention theoretically that would sort of determine the timeline here. The Queen of Cups is the loving, devoted mother. And here we also do have a lot of special attention to the water itself. She's catching that droplet of water that's falling out of the cup because she has so much patience and love and devotion. We also do have this light, the searchlight in the background. In one of the things that I saw about Antarctica, apparently there's some massive fucking laser that is there. I haven't really been able to determine if that is fake news or if that's something that is actually there. But it's some big ass space laser, so maybe that fits in here somewhere. If you know more about that, feel free to chime in. But the Queen of Cups reversed. So normally the Queen of Cups is the loving, devoted mother. The Queen of Cups in reverse is someone who isn't giving any care or devotion at all. It's like the mother that doesn't give a fuck. So because it's a court card, it is talking about human or maybe alien intervention of some kind, but it's like it wouldn't necessarily be a natural process. There would have to be some sort of a being that would interfere. And here it's a lack of care. So that means something has been very devoted to keeping this from happening. And it's the lack of devotion that actually makes it happen. I'm going to pull one more card on this Queen of Cups. Let's just see if we get anything out of it. And what we get is a Nine of Swords, fear and anxiety. So I guess this is worth more study into Antarctica to see how much of the research that we can even fucking learn about is driven by fear and anxiety. So there's a bunch of climate scientists down there. That's the public stuff. And they're monitoring Antarctica because of, that's how they are monitoring climate change. Through the changes in the ice, and they're looking at different layers of the ice and trying to figure out, how many times it has melted and frozen again or whatever. So here we have normally this devotion that's actually driven by fear. And then the devotion stops, and that's when the big event happens. I'm going to pull a card just to see if we're looking at human or maybe not human. So as far as that goes, hopefully we'll see an answer here. And we get a reverse Three of Wands and a Five of Wands. The Five of Wands is saying that there's a bunch of different players in this game. So I imagine that human is probably part of this, but not all of these figures are the same species, right? So we've got maybe a bunch of different things that are going on there. And this three, the reverse Three of Wands, we do have the reference of the moon. That's interesting. So this person is wearing this suit. So from the behind, they actually look like one of these things. So this might be something that can disguise itself as something else. Maybe an alien that can look human, or maybe a human that can look alien. But here, I think there's a bunch of different players happening down there. So there's probably alien and human and fucking who knows what else. But when this is something that's been happening for a long time, because the Three of Wands shows slow growth. And this is another plant reference. But when this gets turned upside down, it's like at least the fear of something that has been worked on for so long being taken away. And I don't know. As far as human or not human, I think these two would show both, and that it's been happening for a while. So if humans have got involved in it, then there would have been non-humans involved for a long time as well. So I guess I'm going to pull one more. Let's just see what I haven't asked. Like, what else should I know about the Antarctica situation? The moon. Oh, geez, look at all these. So, the moon. In my mind and in my readings, the moon is a direct reference to aliens, because that's where at least one of the bases is on the backside of this. But it shows manipulation. Now, the other part of this, because we're dealing with so much water, frozen water, literally the moon, like the tides, it's been a thing that I've been thinking about for a while. If there is some sort of giant serpent, like is shown in the world serpent, if there is something like that, it's probably going to rise with the tide. It's probably going to rise with a full moon, because of the effect that the moon has on the water. So the moon is playing a role here. So we also have a Five of Swords, which is basically insult. It's like troll energy. So we have manipulation from the moon. We have some sort of insult that's going on here. One of the other things that's happening in this five, so the five is an invading army, and they've already invaded, and the white flag is back here because the people of the city have surrendered, and here they're being taunted. So this is like, if I connect these dots, then this would be like an invading fucking alien army, right? And there wouldn't be anything that anyone could do about it other than them. So we also have the King of Pentacles, which is the businessman, and crooked business probably works its way into Antarctica in all kinds of different ways. And then the reverse world. So the world is the last card of tarot. It shows an ending. When the world is reversed, it usually shows something that would naturally end, but somehow we can't move forward from it. Manipulation, troll energy, business, and a world that just won't end. That's a mystery and a puzzle in itself. But the world also does have the giant serpent on it. So after all of this, I'm still saying that there very well may be a giant serpent under that ice, but there's definitely something under there that has been trapped, and it isn't going to be trapped for very long. And I think that it will probably cause a massive flood when it becomes untrapped. So I would love to hear what you think about this. And if you want to check out something that I think is hilarious, if you watch any of my videos and you play them back at 1.75 speed, for one thing, the video happens quicker, which, sometimes is nice, but also I end up sounding like Ben Shapiro. So I think it's fucking hilarious. And I have now, I listen to all of my videos at least on 1.75 speed because I think it's so funny. But that's what we have for now. Peace.